Now we just took a look at how vertex form gives us the an equation, but if we don't have the vertex of an equation, then we can't use vertex form. Another thing that I may give you is I might give you the roots or the zeros of a parabola, okay? And so we'll be able to figure out kind of where those roots are. Now we'll also make sure that we need another point, okay? So we can use the factored form, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So factored form, remember, is y is equal to a x minus q x minus r. That is our factored form, where q and r are the two roots, and a is, again, represents, does it open up or down, and is it, really wide or really narrow. Now, to figure out the equation in this form here, we need to know what our roots are, and we're going to have to know, again, one other point. So in this case, we're going to have to know 3 points to be able to solve that, and for the most part, we're going to need to know 3 points to come up with an equation there. Now this graph here, okay, and I'm just going to draw it out really quickly here. We're given a question where we say that a parabola has roots of -5, which would be right here, let's say, -5, 0, and 7, right here, 7, 0. Okay, so those are the roots that it has, and it also goes through the point 3, -16. So 3, -16 is going to be right here, right there. And if we know these 3 points, then we know that our parabola has to look something like that. Okay, that's not a great looking parabola there, because that's definitely not the vertex. Should go down a little bit farther yet, because it's not right in between, right? One would be right in between, so the vertex should be down here, and there's just another point along our graph. So you notice that it opens up. Okay, we have 2 of our roots, and then we have a third point that we know up as a part of the graph. Okay, remember roots, if we're just given the numbers, we don't need the zeros there, we don't need the point, we can just be told that the roots are -5 and 7, so that's where it's going to cross the x-axis. Now to come up with an equation for that, we're going to want to plug it into here, okay? So we're going to plug our roots into here, and our roots are -5 and 7, order doesn't matter, you could do the 7 first and the -5 later, that doesn't matter. So we're going to have x plus 5 and x minus 7. Now you'll notice that the signs have been changed. If we subtract -5, it's the same as adding 5, and if we subtract 7, it's just subtract 7. So that puts our roots into that form. Now we need to again figure out what is our a value. Now we know it's going to be positive. We don't know how big it's going to be or how small it's going to be, but we know it's going to be positive because our parabola opens upwards. To do that, we're going to be using that third point that we have, and that is this one right here. And so we're going to plug that third point into here for x and y. Now we have 2 x's and 1 y. So it'll be -16 is equal to a, 3 plus 5, 3 minus 7. We plug that in, and now we can solve for what our a value should be for the graph, or for our equation. -16 is going to stay here. It's going to be a, this is going to be 8. This is going to be -4. And so we have a times 8 times -4, which is the same as a times -32. Okay, we're just multiplying. We're using algebra in solving for the value of a. Now here, divide by -32 on both sides, and this becomes 1/2, and this is going to stay as a. So our a value has to equal 1/2. We're going to plug that back into here, and our equation is going to be y is equal to 1/2 x plus 5 x minus 7. And that's going to be our equation in factored form. There's our a value, and here's our 2 roots that we can use. Now if we want to change that into general form, which I may ask you to do, I may not. Sometimes, again, it's nice to see it in graphic form. What we do is we multiply this out. So we're going to have y is equal to 1/2 x times x is x squared minus 2x minus 35. That will be, if we multiply it out, and then we multiply everything by half. And so y is equal to 1/2 x squared minus x minus, that will be 17.5. So 17.5. Oops, don't need the last bracket there. And this right here, it's a minus sign. okay, would be our equation in general form. Okay, again, we could plug this or this into Desmos. They're going to give us the exact same thing as long as we have put it into general form correctly. Hopefully that happened. Hopefully there wasn't a mistake made, but these will give us the exact same values. And then we can use this again to find different points along our graph. Now, both of these here, both factored and vertex form, can be used in a word problem. So a word problem might give what the vertex is, it might give what the roots are, and we can then use that to solve a problem. And I'm going to be asking on your assignment that you use these two, at least in solving for what are a couple of the equations in a graph, and using algebra to solve that. And you need to show your work. You can't just spit out an equation. You need to show your work and how you find A, and that's very important.